Hello there. Just getting things set up here. Welcome. If you can jump in to join me, would love to have you here. Just making sure I can see everything. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but live seems to be working a little bit differently lately, where the opening kind of jumps you right in live right away with no settings. But as you're jumping in, whether it's the live or the replay, please let me know you're here. Would love to say hello. I'm going to be asking for your feedback and comments as we go through the session. So very happy to have you here. Before we get into the heart, hey Karen, good to see you here. Thanks for joining me. Brandon, hello. Oh, you guys, so good to see you both. Anyone else who's coming in, whether replay or live, please come on and say hi. For those who may be watching the replay or coming in, whom I don't know, I know we have some new people in the group. I'd like to just start out before we get into the meat of this, sharing a little bit about me. My name is Connie Weitzel with Scattered to Streamline Business Coaching. And my work, I primarily help solo business owners and business professionals take their tons of brilliant but often scattered business development ideas and help streamline them into plans, systems, and habits to help increase productivity and profitability. I have been a coach for about 10 years now. I'm certified as a professional certified coach, which I'm proud of because it took close to 1,000 hours of both training and coaching to achieve. I've also been a small business owner for over 20 years. In addition to coaching, I had an HR consulting business back in Chicago, where I'm originally from. Happily living in Buffalo now, lucky to be serving both clients locally and across the country and even into Canada. And I think we just had a Canadian join us. Catherine, so good to see you here. Hey Dan, thanks for popping on. So just sharing a little bit about myself. Please continue as you hop on to say hello. Let me know if you're here live or if you're watching the replay. Just sharing a bit about myself. Living here in Buffalo now with my husband and my 2 dogs. Speaking of which, I'm on the board for Buddy's Second Chance Rescue. So got to give a plug for the rescue. I've got two of our own foster fails. Love the dogs. They do great work here in the Buffalo area. I am also a co-founder of Grow Buffalo Business. I know many of you are familiar with that. Dan, you've been a huge help to us in so many different ways in the group, and you all have been so supportive, attending events, getting to know each other and support each other. For anyone who may be watching the replay or is not familiar with Grow, I really encourage you to be sure to sign up. Right now we are a Facebook group, and we provide all kinds of support to small businesses, business professionals in a huge variety of ways, through networking, through educational events. I was just working on adding some of our videos. So we've been doing workshops for over 1.5 years, and adding some of the videos to our YouTube library. And I'm just blown away by how the community came together to provide help and advice, and that's all going to be available to our members. So check that out. If you're a small business owner or business professional, it's really an amazing resource. Grow Buffalo Business. Hey Rihanna, good to see you. Rihanna, I actually just spoke with one of your friends in your group this morning. I appreciate the connection and happy to have you here. So anyway, that's enough about me. Let's jump into the meat of this session. So I'm doing this because generally always actually, when I begin working with a client, we start with a plan. Typically it's for the upcoming year, but it's always very specifically for the upcoming 3 months. And that's because 3-month goals they're right there. You want to work toward them because you can see them, right? You want to take action right now because we all know 3 months goes by very, very quickly. And I promise you, if you're doing your own business planning, if you create 4 3-month plans throughout the year, so 4 quarterly plans, rather than one plan for the entire year, you will for sure achieve far beyond what your 1 year, one plan goals may be. So just something to keep in mind. And anyone who has been a client, I see a couple of you here who are familiar with my systems, so either as a private client or in my group coaching programs, knows that I am all about streamlining, prioritizing, focusing on what makes the most sense, and developing a plan around that. Because a large part of any business plan involves marketing, right? And that's what you most wanted to hear about when I put that poll out last month. Today I'm going to be talking about streamlining your marketing. All right, and as I mentioned before, I see we have a few more people here. Please feel free, jump on, say hello. I'd love to know who's here, and I'll try to tailor some of this to your own work, whether you're watching this live or in the replay. So I'm going to be covering 3 elements to streamlining your marketing. Number 1 is helping you figure out what is the best marketing mode, the best marketing activities for you. As I'm sure you all are aware, there are so many different ways to market your businesses. And for different businesses, for different people, different marketing activities and tactics make sense. There is no one size fits all. So we'll talk about how to figure out what's best for you and the limited time that you have as a solo business owner or business professional. Colleen, welcome, our Medicare planning expert. So good to see you here. Secondly, I'm going to be talking about different marketing methods that have been most effective for different types of businesses. And finally, thirdly, once you've figured out what your ideal marketing activities should be, of course, I'm coming back to the planning. I'll talk with you about how to create a plan around those activities to ensure that you are consistent and also as effective as possible in what you're doing. Again, right, we have a limited amount of time. I know all of you who have put your names in here, you have so much going on. And so you want to make sure that you're as focused and prioritized as possible when it comes to your marketing. Hello, Karina. Thank you for popping on here. Another very busy lady. So here are some assumptions that I am making going into this. Because, as you know, you could spend an entire week talking about marketing. And I really want to focus on helping you streamline your efforts. So here are the assumptions that I'm making. Number 1, you already know who your ideal client is. Number 2, you know your USP. You already know your unique selling proposition, what makes your business unique and special. And also that you've been in business for a little while. So you have a little bit of a track record that you can refer back to. Now, if you don't have any or all of these 3 elements, don't worry, this is still going to be helpful for you, but it will be especially helpful if you do have those 3 criteria in there or meet those assumptions. All right, I believe that all of marketing is a formula. I love math, and I love bringing things back to formulas. So I'm going to post something after this class to help summarize all of this, but the formula I want to talk about, and I'll be walking through today, is, I wonder if, oh, here, I can add this in the comments. Look at this. I'm figuring out this live thing, Karina. All right, so RA plus CA plus DCA equals success. All right, so what I mean by that is, and we'll go through each of these elements here, RA is the right activities. And we're going to get really focused on what are the right 2, maybe 3 marketing activities for you and your business. The CA is consistent application. Okay, so I mean that makes obvious sense. Once you figure out what your right marketing activities are, then making sure that you consistently apply them and give them a chance to work. The DCA is data collection and adjustment. I really believe in looking at the data, and I'll show you how as we talk through here so you can see which of those marketing activities are working for you and how effectively they're working for you, and if they're not working for you, making that adjustment. All right, so we'll start out with the RA, figuring out what are the right activities. Again, there's so many that we can choose from, and this is such an important question a business owner could ask because time is limited and resources also are. So anyone who's worked with me before has heard me talk about the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. And what that basically states is that roughly 80% of our outcomes come from about 20% of our inputs. So in business, this naturally applies. In this case, what I'm talking about is 80% of business typically comes from about 20% of our marketing activities. So if you've been in business for a while, you'll often see that there are 2 or 3 marketing activities that you perform that result in most of your business. So if you figure out what those activities are and focus your time, your energy, your resources there, you're going to see the results in business and income. And it's such a basic principle, but I see often people spreading themselves too thin when it comes to marketing. That kind of throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. Now there is some part of experimenting that absolutely applies here, but I really want to help you apply this principle to figure out what's most effective. And coming back to the data, if you've been in business for some time, you already have the information that reveals your 20% Pareto activities that result in 80% of your business. So maybe you can figure that out off the top of your head. Maybe it's just kind of intuitive when you think about your work and it just comes right to mind. Oh my gosh, yeah, of course, most of my clients come from whatever that activity is. If it's not so plainly obvious, my suggestion to you is to review a list. Create a list of your past and your current clients, customers, over a reasonable period of time, maybe different for different people. But then think of how did the majority of those people hear of and come to you initially? So when you think about that, are you focusing enough of your time and resources on that, or maybe it's a couple of marketing activities? If not, that's where you want to ramp it up because it clearly works. It's already proven itself for you. Some examples. For me, absolutely, my number one marketing activity activities are networking groups and one-to-one meetings with people and the referrals that result from that. My private coaching services, they're not inexpensive, and people need to know and trust me before working with me one-to-one. So individual meetings are super important for my work. Now, another client who came to mind for me is a photographer. And it's interesting, one of his primary sources of success in his business is marketing through LinkedIn. And I thought that was a little surprising initially because I thought it's such a visual. Wouldn't Instagram or something like that be more effective as a photographer? But it makes sense. His focus is on headshots, and business people hang out on LinkedIn. So they see his work. They want that quality for themselves. And when we looked at his data, when we started working together, we saw, okay, that makes sense. So for the headshot work, keep focusing there. People are responding. So I'd love for you, as you're here, again, whether you're live or watching on the replay, what comes to mind for you? I'd love to hear some of your Pareto principle marketing activities. What do you know works really well for you? What would you consider to be in that 20%? So I'll continue, but please go ahead and put your comments in the comment section because I'd love to see, and I think this is going to illustrate how different marketing activities work for different people. But it's so important for you to determine, what is that 20% and how can you focus more on that, expand that more. All right, getting back to figuring out the right activities. Another question to ask is, where does your ideal client or customer hang out, right? Whether it's in person or virtually, thinking about professionally or personally as well. So some examples are industry association groups, networking groups within particular industries, maybe particular networking groups. Maybe they're on certain social media platforms, like I just mentioned for the photographer, with their university alumni groups, at the local country club. So again, think about professionally and personally, where is your ideal client and how can you be there as well? As long as there are logical ways for you to be there, to provide value, to make connections in the same or similar spaces, it really makes sense for you to be there and for them to see you there. So I'll give you a couple of examples, but I'd like to go back to the comments here for a section. So Karina, your number one right now is Facebook, and specifically your Facebook groups. I see that. And we're going to talk about this too, about businesses really needing to be nimble. Because I know Karina used to do, so Karina is a highly successful Mary Kay director. She sells and she leads a huge team of people, and I know that a lot of her work was in person, a lot of the parties, and now it's so much on Facebook. So she's had to shift, and that's really important to know. And it may be, Karina, as time goes on and things open up again, maybe it becomes more of a balance, but that's great. You recognize for now it's the Facebook groups. Karen, yes, I see you posting your information on the LinkedIn page. Absolutely. Elevator pitches of students graduating in May. Yeah, I know you've got some great programs going on there. So, and for those who don't know, Karen is a career coach, fabulous career coach. So LinkedIn's working for her. Rihanna, constant contact. Okay, so, and that's one of the activities we're going to be talking about is, and at first I thought you were talking about the technology, but I get what you're saying. For you, it's the constant relationships with people and being in contact with them. Absolutely. Dale, oh Dale, I didn't even know you were here. So good to see you, or at least your profile. In-person presentation, post-COVID, now TV show, lead generation, and networking. Okay, so you guys, you're spot on. You know what's working for you. For those who don't know Dale runs a TV show called WNY for Western New York at Work, where he gives amazing advice to business owners. He interviews people there. I've been a guest on his show, and I believe one or two others here in the group have been as well. So this is terrific. So if you're not quite sure, if you're seeing these responses here and you're kind of wondering, my suggestion to you is to go back and do that data collection. Look at your past and current clients and see where most of them came from initially. All right, getting back to figuring out the right activities, and I was in the second category talking about where does your ideal client or customer hang out. You know, here you're giving perfect examples here. You know your ideal clients are in these locations. Here's some interesting ones that have come up. Another of my clients is a real estate agent, and one of her biggest sources of her clients is her church, right? So you want to think about this not just professionally, but personally as well. Here she is. She's in another field where people really need to know and trust their real estate agents or brokers, because there's a lot on the line when you're working in real estate, buying a home or selling a home. So for her, while of course her primary reason for she is going to church is not networking, but she is very active in her church community, and she is getting to meet more people. And when she looked at her data, that's where a big percentage of her clients were coming from. So she needs to spend more time there. You know, again, thinking creatively. One of my clients is a financial advisor who happens to love working with dentists. Now, here in Buffalo, it happens to be that University of Buffalo's School of Dentistry is very well respected. It's known in the area. Many of the dentists who graduated from there happen to like sports a lot. So he got really creative in thinking through things. This financial advisor actually makes a point of attending UB alumni events. He's a graduate of UB as well. especially those in person before and during athletic events, right? So he's making some great contacts there, and it's natural. It feels comfortable because they have common interests. But he's where his ideal client is, and that's working for him in developing his clientele. So what about you? I'm going to throw it back to you guys. This is so helpful, both for you to be thinking through and to be sharing with others, because this is, these kinds of ideas are so helpful for other people to see. So I'd love to hear, where does your ideal client hang out? Whether it's online or in person. Please feel free to share in the comments. And as you think about that, are you focusing your efforts there? So maybe something comes to mind where you haven't necessarily been focusing your efforts. Think about it, and think about implementing that into your marketing plan. The third element for finding the right activities, that RA in the formula, is to consider what are your successful competitors doing, or other people in your industry, whether they're considered competitors or not. So much can be learned from others in your industry who have developed thriving businesses. And I'm not to say at all that you should be copying their activities by any means. But if there are certain marketing activities that work particularly well for someone else who's further along in the same business as you, or is really got a thriving business going, these can provide excellent indications that they can work for you as well. Related to that, it is often so helpful to find a mentor or a consultant who works or has worked in your field or industry. If they're currently doing it, maybe somebody in another market or a physical location, so you take that competitive element out of it. But you will not believe, or maybe you will, you're all very ambitious, helpful people here yourself, but people are willing to help. They want to help other people. Some examples that I was thinking of in putting this together, even for me, this has probably been a couple of decades ago. Before we saw these on almost every corner, I really wanted to open a pet boutique. I just loved all of the dog stuff, and I was intent on doing that. And this is when I was living in Chicago. And what I did was, as part of creating my business plan and doing my research, I went and I worked in this really successful pet boutique in St. Louis, right? So it's a 6-hour drive from Chicago. I wasn't going to be any competition, but I actually paid her to work with the owner for a long weekend and just soak up everything she could share with me. So there were, she filled me in on the marketing that worked for her, and it was just so helpful to me. Now, I obviously decided not to go that route, and this experience helped me figure that out. But I did learn so much about marketing, brick and mortar, high quality pet boutique. So, thinking about that for your business, maybe not going down and working with somebody, but asking for some help. People are willing to help. If you work for a larger organization, like Karina does here, and Sabrina, whom I've interviewed here in the group, she works with Pure Romance. Both Karina and Sabrina, I'm sure some others here who work for larger organizations, especially in direct sales, so willing to help others, even when they're not in their downline, right? So I know Sabrina's been going and doing corporate events before COVID in all different places across the country. People just are really willing to help. All you need to do is ask. So in thinking about that, both looking at what people are doing in your industry and reaching out to people in your industry, think about that, and think about, what are they doing? Is there someone who would be willing to help you and help you kind of figure out what are those right activities? So give that some consideration. The fourth element to determining your right activities when it comes to marketing is thinking about where or how you can stand out. Again, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Don't be afraid to be creative in your approach to marketing. What about you and your products and services are different? Or what about your business is different? And emphasize this everywhere. You will stand out in the crowd. And here is actually where that number 3 that I just shared with you about looking at your competitors may just go out the window. Because if your competitors maybe are using one marketing strategy or platform primarily, but your potential customers pay attention elsewhere, always make sure you choose your customer's location over your competitors. Karina, question of the day, where does my ideal client hang out? Yeah, always be asking that. So when I was thinking about this being creative part, so I think a number of you in Buffalo are going to know who I'm talking about when I share this next example. There is a partner in a local chain of dry cleaners here in Buffalo. Now, how often do you see dry cleaners doing videos on social media? Much less doing videos on LinkedIn, right? It's not something you see very often. Yet this woman, who many of you may know, Jennifer, she does regular videos educating people daily on how to care for their clothing, for their fabrics. She does videos around getting out tough stains and educating people on how to fold fitted sheets and providing inspiration on a daily basis, but she's there consistently in this unique space for a dry cleaner. And then on Saturdays, I'm sure you guys have seen some of these. She provides this hilarious blooper reel, and it's just filled with bloopers from the week's videos, and it's hilarious. And I really believe that this is a big part of how her company stands out. I'm sure these videos are part of the reason why her business survived during an extended time when few people were using dry cleaners. And this is also going to support why the business will be thriving as we're coming out of this pandemic. And you think about it, her business clients are on LinkedIn, and most of her competitors are not. So give that some consideration. Karina Langworthy, I was just talking about her the other day. Yeah, I don't think she'll mind me sharing this. It's Jennifer Marquardt. So if you look her up on LinkedIn, Arthur's Cleaners, it's great. So think about it for yourself. How can you be creative? And just looking at your names here on the list, I see you going online, a number of you being uber creative in your approach. And we need to be, right? We need to be nimble and creative. So for you, if there are ways that you are being creative and standing out, or if you're thinking of ways that you can be creative and stand out, please share in the comments. I'd love to see what you're doing. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts around that. And again, it will be helpful to others who are here. All right, so that is the RA, the right activities, and how to figure those out. So we've talked about the Pareto principle. We talked about where does your ideal client or customer hang out? What are other people in your industry doing? And finally, how can you make yourself stand out? So give that some additional thought and see where that leads you. All right, the second element of that formula was CA, consistent application. This is going to be really quick because it is what it is. Don't take your foot off the gas. Once you figure out what marketing activities work for you, develop your plan around those, know exactly what you're going to do on a daily or weekly basis, and stick with that plan. Give it time to work and be consistent. All right, the third element that I wanted to cover here of that formula was DCA, which is data collection and adjustment, right? I'm coming back to the data, but it's all there. It teaches us what we need to be doing in business. I use and I recommend that my clients use a weekly tracker to ensure that they keep up with their marketing activities. With everything that's happening with business owners, with all of us being so busy throughout the week, it is so easy to lose focus with all of these other things going on. So I wanted to show you a sample. This is just kind of a template that I use. See if this shows there. So as you can see across the top, I've got the days of the week. And yes, some people are working on the weekends, so it's 7 days. And then the activities are over in this column. So in this example, it's things like meetings, networking, events, speaking at events, attending events, emails, mailings, social media posts. It's going to be unique to you, dependent upon what those main activities are. But for me, I like to make it a game and give those different activities points values, right? So, and when I work with my clients, we figure out what are those activities and what should those points values be. And then as you do each of these activities, you give yourself those points. And at the end of the week, you have a goal. I know, Colleen, if you're still on here, I know you've done this, and I know there are going to be some people watching the replay who do this as well. And it's just super helpful for keeping on track. Again, it's individual. I go for 30 points a week. Somebody else might go for 25. I have one client who goes for 50. It all depends, but it helps show that you're on track. What makes this even more powerful is if you track your weekly income as well. So it's super interesting. You'll see when your income dips, you can usually go back and see that it's a result of having taken your foot off the gas for a period of time in one of those Pareto principle activities. There'll be a little bit of a lag, but it really doesn't feel long to see the impact. And that's either way. You know, when you're going, you're going to see the income. Take your foot off the gas, you're going to see things fall back. So it's a great indicator of what you need to be doing and when you need to be doing it. Now, if you're doing this system and you are keeping up with your marketing activities and there's still a consistent drop in your income, that means it's time to reevaluate your activities and adjust them. Right? So especially in the last year, businesses have had to be so nimble, try new things. How many of us have shifted from in-person meetings to virtual, from in-person parties, get-togethers to virtual? Happy that hopefully some of that will be changing back soon. But you just see, the proof is in the data. Track it and it will help you be consistent and help you see what's working and what isn't. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop into the comment section and add them. Or if you have any comments about any of this, what has worked, what hasn't worked for you, I'd love to hear. Now I'd like to spend some time going through examples of different marketing activities that have been, I'd say these have been most effective for people I've worked with. And again, they're individual to the person and the business, but I wanted to talk about these because it may have you thinking about something that may have worked for you in the past, that maybe you've let slide a little bit, or activities that other businesses may be doing that could possibly help you. So first of all, and this is kind of related to what Rihanna had posted earlier, is our best source often of new clients and customers or new business is our current client base or our past customers and clients. These are the people who love what you do. They've been happy with what you've provided them. So if you offer additional products or services and maybe these they haven't purchased yet from you, or it's been a while, they are the people who are most likely to buy from you again. And so often business owners forget this strategy. That's right there. It's right there in front of you. And Karina, I'm so glad you're here. I think about Karina and Sabrina about this. They're here in this group. They're both so good at this. I think I'm buying for you and Sabrina, at least one of you, once every week, right? Because I love what they provide. It's such high quality. It's reasonably priced. I love their products. And every time I'm watching a live, I'm like, oh, I have to have that. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your services. Also, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I misunderstood Rihanna, use a tracking system here. People can fall through the cracks. Use a CRM. There are so many good ones out there. I've heard a lot of talk lately about Monday.com, about 17 Hats. Salesforce even has a low-cost one now. If you have others that you use, please feel free to put them in the comments. And it can be something simple too. It can be an Excel sheet. I use a Toodle-Do actually, program. It's an app on my phone and it's online to help me keep track of staying in touch with people. Janice, oh my God, that's so funny, Karina. So I wasn't lying. I just ordered from Karina yesterday, and evidently her husband is on his way to deliver today. Proof is in the pudding. So when the dogs start barking, you'll know that John is here. All right. Another aspect, and this is this is related to your happy clients and customers. They are also your biggest champions. So think about asking for referrals. And now I never suggest that people put pressure on their clients for names to contact. I'm not a huge fan of that, where there are some harsh tactics for doing that. But there are also definitely some effective, softer ways to request referrals. Karina, I know, is wonderful at this. My financial advisor clients are really pros at this too. Sometimes just need to do it a little bit more. Another thing related to your happiest clients and customers, your champions, make sure, and I did a post about this recently, that you ask for and obtain reviews, testimonials. These people love you. They love singing your praises. I love going online when I receive something great or have a good experience. I go on Google your business. I go on Yelp. I'll go on Facebook, wherever it makes the most sense. And I'm sure most of you love to do that too, and your clients will do that for you. So when you've provided an excellent service or high quality products to your customer and you know they're happy, a request to leave a review or provide a testimonial is often welcomed. Be strategic in where the review and testimonial is placed, and be sure to share it once that's provided. For me personally, I request people submit recommendations on LinkedIn. And I'll ask them, saying that I'd like to use them in other places as well. I do that because people know those recommendations are verified and they're not made up reviews. So think about where it works for your business. Others use Google My Business or Yelp or some industry specific platforms. By the way, if you don't have a Google My Business page, I really encourage you to set one up. We recently learned at a Grow seminar that these are super powerful tools, not only for people to see these glowing reviews about you and your business, but they also help move you up in the Google rankings when people are searching. So if people do, if you know you're in a business that people do look for you online, be sure to have that set up. Another example, attending association events or networking groups. If your ideal audience is there, be there too. Whether that be teaching or displaying your items or advertising, networking, following up, just be involved. There are so many opportunities for this here. Some that came to my mind, there are organizations focused for women like She Can and Wink. We have for people generally in business, we've got Team Network, we've got meetup networking groups in the area. Trek Niagara, Rihanna, I think you've been involved in some of their networking events. Grow Buffalo Business, of course. This has just been a great way to get to know people in the community and their businesses and help support each other. Many of us right here on this call are in BNI, Business Networking International, and that's been hugely beneficial for our businesses. So some of these, they're not right for everyone, but check into these opportunities. Chambers of Commerce, industry-specific associations like SHRM, like for Karen, financial advising associations. And just think about, where are your potential clients? Where are your referral partners? And explore. Visit them a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, and find, again, streamlining, find just 2 to 3 groups that speak to you and your business, and then be super consistent. Again, consistent activity in attending. Another marketing activity that can be very effective, related to something I just said, is develop those referral partnerships. What other businesses or what business owners are in other industries that also serve your ideal client? These are people that you want to connect with and develop referral partnerships with. One of my clients has an HR consulting business, and she is just killing it with her referral partnership with her CPA. and with a few other people in business who serve similar ideal clients of hers. I'm thinking about two the women who are in, I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Hirath House in Allentown here. We've got Sabrina doing Pure Romance. We've got Amy Shellman with her adorable clothing boutique. We've got Justine Duquette, who has amazing loose teas. We have another woman in there who does candles, another does macrame hangers, and they all support each other and they all help each other in their businesses. So where can you connect with others and develop those referral partnerships? Of course, you can't stop talking. You can't talk about marketing activities and not talk about social media marketing. Not that it works for everyone, but it is effective for so many people. And there are so many avenues to explore here. So I'm not going to go through them in detail, but just be sure to stay focused on the platforms where your ideal customer engages. Just like I was talking about Jennifer on LinkedIn. And photographers sometimes on Instagram, and the real estate agent in turn. Well, that's not social media, but when you think about social media, just keep that in mind. Now, if you find that social media really is working for you and you want to ramp it up, but you're running out of time, that's also a great time to engage a social media marketing consultant. Someone who can either handle it for you or teach you how to do it effectively or help you balance the workload, because it certainly can take a lot of time to do it effectively, as again Karina can testify. Other aspects, email marketing. An effective email marketing campaign consistently applied can have great results for certain businesses. And I've heard people say that email marketing is dead, but I know several businesses who are excelling at it and it's really helping them. But there are ways here to be creative as well. Like for the Grow membership, as people are joining on, we're sending them embedded personalized videos using a program, it's a platform called Vidyard. And so every person's getting a personalized video email. So think about ways you can make your marketing more customized. Dale, thank you for posting this. The WNY at Work Partners Reward Program. Okay, check into this. Dale is amazing. He is so supportive of businesses in the area. So reach out to him using that information. I'm sure there's some great help there. All right, I'm just going to wrap this up with a few other examples of marketing activities to see if they trigger anything in you that might be helpful. Something to always keep in mind are teaching opportunities, whether it be, and this could be online or in person, right? Retreats, workshops, classes, webinars, whatever the format, teaching people something of value. It helps them, it showcases you and your expertise, and it helps give you additional credibility in your work. I'm seeing this, especially with my friends who are in direct sales. This works so well. You know, the parties, the group get-togethers, whether they be online, in person, they're such a great way to learn about the various products that they're providing. Financial advisors, doing things like a couple of my financial advising friends, they do workshops through the establishment in Buffalo. I think they're all online still now, but also in person. At Grow, we're working on planning a huge workshop with various speakers to help support small businesses. And the list goes on, right? Podcasts, direct mail campaigns, advertising, writing a book as a big business card, promotional materials. I know some people say that, you know, regular mail, it doesn't, you know, it's not a good way, but for some businesses it is. I know Colleen, who is here, she and her partner do some direct mail pieces, and their audience is a slightly older audience who maybe is not online quite as much, so they look at their mail and it has led to business for them. So all of these have worked and continue to work for certain businesses, and the key is really just to find out what works best for you. So as I said, as we wrap things up, just a reminder, figure out what are those 2 to 3 marketing activities that make the most sense for you and focus there. Do them well, do them consistently. Don't spread yourself too thin trying the next latest and greatest thing unless it really, really makes sense. Remember, RA, plus CA plus DCA equals sales success. And as I mentioned, I'm going to post something either later today or tomorrow that provides a good summary of this, since I'm not doing slides or anything today. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments, or if you have any comments about this. As I'm closing things down, I do want to let you know about a group program that I have coming up. Every quarter, I do a half-day group planning program where we plan for the next quarter. We create a full-on business plan for 3 months. We spend a half day doing it. It's usually filled with small group up to, I close it out at 10 people, business owners, business professionals, helping them create that plan. So part of what we do, we assess how the year has gone so far, we make adjustments. We're coming up to the half-year point of this year, which just blows my mind. We'll reestablish goals for the upcoming quarter. Again, keeping in mind, 3 months, it's close enough to be super impactful. We'll go through the 5 pillars of your business. We'll go through your product and evaluate and figure out a plan around your products and services, your operations, your marketing, your finances, and your personal management, and come up with that plan so that you know month by month, week by week, even day by day on what you need to focus. So those sessions are being held on June 22nd. June 22nd is for new people who have not been through the program before. And on June 29th, I'm offering a session for people who have gone through my planning programs before and my private clients. So I'm just opening this up. So on the 22nd, I've got 9 of the 10 seats available. For people who've gone through my program before, 7 seats are already filled up, and I'll send reminders to those and to people who are signed up and to people who have not, to fill the rest of that. So if you have any questions about that, private message me. Brandon, oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, it was so great having you a part of that. And Brandon's comment reminds me that one aspect of these planning sessions that has been really helpful is that the people who are in there, even though they're in completely different industries, they really help support each other through that half day. I do a full day planning session at the end of the year to prepare for the following year, and it's just amazing the way people come together to help support each other. Pricing wise, I'll be running an early bird special. I need to still set that up, but it'll be $199, the early bird special, and then it goes to $299 after that. But just keep an eye out here. I'll start putting some posts up there if you'd like any help with your own third quarter planning. So thanks everybody. Sarah, glad you like the ideas. Catherine, it was wonderful having you here. I'm glad you appreciate the formula. Karen, thank you. Oh my gosh, so good to have all of you on here and see your, I'd like to say familiar faces, but familiar names, and know that you're here with me. You all are amazing people at what you do. So everyone, have a great rest of your week. If you need anything from me, you can reach out to me, private message me anytime, and get streamlining that marketing. All right, take care everybody.